Hello, everyone. Tonight, we are trudging across a frigid plain where each breath feels like swallowing ice shards and the horizon blurs beneath low, churning clouds. Snowflakes, at first harmless and delicate, spiral down like tiny cold messengers. You pause breath, frosting in the air as the first flakes land on your fur, or well, what little fur your human self can pretend to have out here. The ground beneath your feet crunches with a sinister softness, as if the earth itself is hiding something. Beside you, hulking mammoths shift uneasily their massive forms, casting long, trembling shadows under the dim light. Their eyes are dark with worry, their trunks coiled tighter than usual. You can almost hear the unspoken question in their huffs. What's falling from the sky, and what does it mean? You probably won't survive out here. Honestly, you'd last about 10 minutes before the cold and the mammoth herd decided you were either competition or a curious chew toy. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you really like what I do here. Drop a comment below to tell me where you're watching from and what time it is where you are. Now turn off the lights, maybe turn on the fan for some soothing noise, and let's get started tonight. You shuffle along beside the mammoths, snowflakes dotting your eyelashes and settling into the folds of your clothing, the kind of clothing that would make any Paleolithic tailor snort. The mammoth's giant feet sink softly into the new layer of white, and each step stirs up a soft whoosh as powder fills the impressions. The flakes fall thicker now, swirling around you like the sky's forgotten dust. It's beautiful in that way nature is when it's just about to try and kill you. The mammoths, of course, aren't admiring the scenery. They shift their tusks in low arcs, testing the wind, their ancient instincts churning beneath their shaggy hides. Historians still debate whether mammoths had a specific call for snow the same way some birds call before storms. But the tension in the air tells you that whatever wordless language they share, the message is clear. This isn't good. You catch a glint of ice forming along a mammoth's eyelashes like tiny glass beads. It blinks slowly as if pondering whether this sky-born cold will ever stop. And beneath those great feet, the ground creaks ominously. You've stepped onto what looks like solid tundra, but snowflakes are cunning things. They hide the subtle dip of a hollow, the thin crust over a sinkhole. One misstep and that ground could give way like the lid on a forgotten well. Mammoths know this, though how they remember is a mystery. Maybe it's the shared memory of a matriarch's last fall, or the tale of a young bull lost beneath the ice. There's a strange smell in the air, too clean. Yes, but with a hint of rot, where the snow hides decaying plant matter, or the remains of ancient creatures. You breathe it in, and it sticks to your throat like cold smoke. A mammoth snorts loudly beside you, dislodging a small clump of snow from its brow, and you almost jump as it thuds to the ground. Lighthearted moment here. Imagine if snow had feelings. Each flake probably dreams of a soft landing, only to be blasted off a mammoth's forehead like an unwanted speck. Poor flake. The falling snow thickens. It mutes the world, swallowing up sound, until even the mammoth's heavy footfalls seem distant and unreal. You glance at the horizon and find it gone, dissolved into a blur of white. It's disorienting, like being trapped in a snow globe that someone keeps shaking. Your fingers, if you can still feel them, brush the snow on a nearby boulder, only to realize it's not a boulder at all. It's the frozen skull of some ancient creature, half buried and exposed by shifting snow. Its hollow eye sockets seem to watch you, a reminder that even giants fall in the end. The mammoths don't pause for this grim relic. They know the snow's trick. What it buries, it eventually claims. An authoritative fact for tonight's stroll through prehistory: mammoths were among the few large mammals that thrived in cold environments because of specialized fat layers and woolly coats. But those very adaptations made them especially sensitive to changes in snow conditions. Too much snow, or the wrong kind of snow, wet, heavy, crusted with ice, and their enormous bodies could be trapped, immobilized, or worse. There's a funny little distraction to mull over as you trudge. Did you know that ancient humans sometimes used mammoth bones as building frames for their huts? Imagine that curling up to sleep under the ribs of a creature that could crush you flat. Bet that kept the kids from sneaking out at night. The mammoths have picked up speed now, uneasy with the ever-thickening flurry. You match their pace as best you can, feet slipping on patches of ice hidden beneath the powder. The wind picks up a low moan rolling across the plains, and you could swear it carries voices, whispers of those lost to winters past. Or maybe that's just your overactive imagination. Either way, you hunch your shoulders and keep moving. And as the first true gust of the storm hits, bringing with it a wall of snow, you understand the mammoth's ancient dread. It's not just the cold. It's not just the hidden dangers beneath the white. It's the way snow turns the world unfamiliar, treacherous, and quiet enough that you can hear your own heartbeat pounding a little too fast for comfort. The snow deepens with every slow, crunching step, and you begin to notice how the ground itself seems to betray you. Beneath the pristine blanket of white, danger waits like a predator with infinite patience. The mammoths sense it too. They move with a caution that seems almost unnatural for creatures their size, massive, shaggy titans picking their way forward as delicately as you might tiptoe across a creaky floor at midnight, hoping not to wake a house full of angry ghosts. A light joke for you. It's funny, isn't it, how we like to think of snow as pure and soft. Out here, it's more like nature's booby trap wrapped in a fluffy disguise. One moment, you're admiring how pretty it looks. The next, you're wondering if you'll vanish beneath it like socks in a dryer. The mammoths, of course, have been dealing with this long before your human ancestors figured out how to keep their toes warm. The herd pauses at the edge of what looks like solid tundra, but mammoths know better. One matriarch swings her massive tusks low, sweeping aside the snow in great arcs, revealing patches of the hidden world beneath. You see what she's uncovered: thin crusts of ice over hollows, treacherous pits, where an unsuspecting step would mean a slow, flailing doom. The snow covers these traps so perfectly, smoothing them out, erasing any clue that the ground beneath is anything but safe. Historians still debate whether mammoth migration routes shifted because of changing snow patterns, or if these routes stayed stubbornly the same out of tradition, even when the terrain grew more dangerous. Either way, the mammoths face the same grim risk each winter: one step too far in the wrong spot, and a leg would punch through the snow crust and into nothingness. Imagine that terror, a creature that large, thrashing helplessly as the snow collapses around it like a hungry mouth. You watch as the younger mammoths cluster near the center of the herd, instinct driving them toward the protection of their elders. It's almost touching if you ignore the creeping dread that comes with realizing these giants are just as vulnerable as you are. The snow keeps falling, layering over old tracks, concealing the signs of passage. What was safe an hour ago could now be a hidden hazard. There's a sudden yelp from somewhere behind you, a wolf, perhaps startled by the shifting snow. The sound echoes, oddly muffled by the heavy flakes. The mammoth's ears flick toward the noise, trunks curling, sensing the tension in the air. But no predator dares attack now. The snow is danger enough. Even the hungriest wolf knows better than to risk being swallowed by an unseen hollow. And here's a curious oddity to ponder as you trudge along, trying not to think about your frozen toes. Certain Ice Age rodents burrowed tunnels beneath the snow, creating vast hidden networks. So while mammoths feared what lay beneath, the white little creatures scurried happily below, safe from the cold wind above. You could almost envy them, those tiny secret engineers of the snow world. You find yourself glancing down with every step, now imagining the ground giving way beneath you. The snow's deceptive beauty has lost its charm. Each flake adds to the illusion of safety, covering old pitfalls, masking cracks in the ice. The mammoths press forward, driven by ancient memory and instinct, searching for solid ground. Their breath mists the air, mingling with the falling snow until it seems like the whole world is made of steam and cold. Suddenly, the lead mammoth stops, her massive head swinging side to side. She senses at first a change in the snow's texture beneath her feet, the subtle shift that warns of a hollow. With a forceful sweep of her trunk, she clears the snow in front of her, revealing a gaping hole edged with thin ice. One more step and she would have fallen through, trapped in the hidden pit. You can almost hear the silent sigh of relief ripple through the herd. It's moments like this that remind you why mammoths feared the snow. Not because of the cold, not because of the storms, but because snow is the great concealer. It hides the world's dangers, smooths out. The sharp edges makes the deadly look gentle. And mammoths, for all their might, were at the mercy of what lay beneath. You catch yourself chuckling just a little. The thought crosses your mind, maybe snow is nature's prankster. Imagine it giggling to itself as it covers up pits and cracks, waiting to see who will fall for the trick. It's the kind of humor only the Ice Age could appreciate. The mammoths edge back from the pit, the lead matriarch rumbling low in her throat. A warning, a lesson for the young ones. Don't trust what looks safe. Don't trust the snow. The herd shifts, finding a new path, one tested with careful steps and sweeping tusks. And you follow, hoping that your next step lands on solid ground and not on another hidden danger. The snow keeps falling thicker now, as if determined to cover the pit again to erase the memory of its discovery. You glance back and already the hole is less distinct, blurred by fresh flakes. Another hour and it will be as if it was never there. That's the way of the snow, it buries the past as easily as it buries the unwary. You move on the mammoths, massive forms ahead of you, like walking hills, their breath steaming in the cold air. The snow continues its quiet work, laying its traps, hiding the dangers of the ancient world beneath a blanket of white. You push forward through the thickening snow, the cold biting deeper, now numbing your fingers despite the imaginary fur mittens you wish you had. The mammoths are restless heads, low tusks slicing the air in slow, deliberate arcs as they scan the horizon. Or at least where the horizon should be if the snow weren't falling, like the sky's been shredded. The young ones stick close, wide-eyed, their smaller trunks brushing against the older mammoths like children clinging to a parent's coat. It's not just the hidden pits anymore. There's something else in the snow's embrace, something that makes the mammoth's breath come faster, their footfalls heavier as if they're trying to outrun a memory. You squint into the swirling white heart thudding, and that's when you see it, the faint dark shapes of predators lurking in the drifts. Wolves, maybe. Or worse. And here's the chilling genius of it, those predators have learned to use the snow as cover. They hunker low in the drifts, hidden by the uneven mounds of powder, moving as silently as ghosts across the ice. The snow doesn't just hide the landscape's dangers, it hides the enemies who've adapted to become part of it. Imagine playing hide-and-seek with a pack of wolves who know every trick, every shadow. Historians still debate whether mammoths developed specific alarm calls for different predators, one call for wolves, another for cave lions, maybe even one for the clever human hunters who eventually sealed their fate. But out here, the herd doesn't need a special call. Fear rolls through them like thunder. You feel it too, that primal panic as your eyes dart from drift to drift, trying to tell which ones might be concealing teeth and hunger. A mammoth calf gives a nervous trumpet too loud for its own good. The sound ricochets off the snow-covered hills, drawing the attention of a dark shape slinking through a drift. You see a glint of eyes, a flicker of movement. One of the predators has spotted an opportunity. But the snow, as always, is a double-edged sword. It hides the predator, yes, but it also hampers its approach. Every step sinks deep, every lunge slowed by the very cover it tried to use. The mammoth herd tightens, forming a living wall of tusks and bulk. The predator pauses, calculating whether the risk is worth it. It isn't. With a frustrated snarl muffled by the snow, it melts back into the drifts as silent as it came. Odd fact for you while you catch your breath, some Ice Age predators like the dire wolf had shorter, stockier legs than their modern descendants, a design better suited for slogging through deep snow. You can almost picture them grumbling about how their modern cousins have it easy, prancing through meadows without a snowdrift in sight. The snow keeps falling soft but relentless. Each flake adds another layer to the world's camouflage, reshaping the land, erasing paths, and hiding both predator and prey. You start to understand why mammoths feared it so deeply. It wasn't just the danger of sinking or the weight of the snow itself, it was the way snow made the world untrustworthy. Every drift could be a hiding place. Every shadow could hold teeth. The mammoths move on, but now they keep their tusks lowered, swinging side to side, sweeping at the drifts to check for threats. You can see the wisdom in this. Better to disturb a predator early than to let it come too close. The matriarch leads the way, her massive form carving a path through the deepening snow, her every move a lesson in survival. You follow, grateful for the trail she leaves, though your legs ache from the effort of keeping up. And then, out of the corner of your eye, you catch movement. Another predator. This one bolder, creeping along the edge of a drift. It's thin, hungry, its coat patchy with the hardships of the season. But as it steps forward, it sinks up to its chest in powder, trapped by the very snow it hoped to use as cover. The mammoth herd doesn't even have to react. The predator struggles, snarls, then gives up, slinking away, defeated by the ancient icy trickster that is the snow. A light joke as you trudge on. You ever feel like snow has a personality? Out here, it's like a mischievous sibling, always messing with your stuff, hiding things just to see you stumble. Only instead of lost car keys or a single glove, it hides wolves. You keep moving, the wind rising, carrying with it a fine, stinging powder that finds its way into your clothes, your mouth, your soul. The mammoths march on, ancient survivors of a world that's out to get them at every turn. And through it all, the snow keeps falling, chasing what you most need to see and daring you to trust it. You've grown used to the muffled world of falling snow, the quiet, the soft crunch of mammoth feet, your own breath puffing in ragged clouds. But then, like the crack of doom itself, the silence is shattered. A deep, resonant crack splits the air, sharp as lightning but coming from below rather than the heavens. The mammoths freeze mid-step. You freeze too, heart hammering as if it's trying to escape your chest. That sound, the groan and fracture of ice, the warning of a shelf about to give way, sends a wave of panic through the herd that no predator could ever hope to match. You look around, searching for the source. The snow has thickened again, blinding you to everything beyond a few meters. But the mammoths don't need to see, they feel it through their feet, through the vibrations that race up their legs, through the ancient terror etched into their bones. The ground beneath the snow is not as solid as it seemed. Historians still debate whether mammoths truly distinguish between falling snow and falling ice, or if to them it was all part of the same nightmare. Either way, that crack of ice breaking loose, be it a shelf collapsing or a frozen river giving way, spelled disaster. A falling snowdrift from above could trigger an avalanche, while beneath the snow, a hidden crevasse or ice shelf could open up like the jaws of the earth itself. You can't help but think, here you are walking on what amounts to a frozen booby trap, and now it's springing shut. The mammoth's panic becomes motion. They surge forward, trying to escape the unseen crack, their massive forms churning up clouds of snow that make it even harder to see. One young bull slips his foreleg, punching through a crust of ice, and he trumpets in terror as he struggles to free himself. The sound is deafening, fear-given voice. You scramble after the herd, your legs sinking into drifts, every step a gamble. The snow, that silent deceiver, gives no hint where it's safe or where it hides a fatal weakness. The bull finally yanks his leg free, limping but alive, and the matriarch bellows a sound as old as the ice age itself, calling the herd to regroup, to stay together, to flee as one. And here's your offbeat fact to chew on. Certain ancient cultures believed that the cracking of ice was the voice of angry spirits beneath the earth. They'd perform rituals at winter's end, hoping to appease whatever force lay below. Out here, you start to see why. The sound of breaking ice feels personal, like the land itself is turning against you. The herd pushes toward higher ground. The mammoths knowing instinctively that elevation is safety, that the higher ridges are less likely to conceal treacherous ice shelves beneath the snow. You follow, gasping, feeling the cold in your bones now, as if the snow's betrayal has seeped into your marrow. The wind howls louder, joining the chaos, whipping snow into your face, your eyes. It stings, blinding you. The world is noise and cold and fear. Light joke for this harrowing moment. Imagine trying to sell vacation packages for this place. Come visit the Ice Age, beautiful views, fresh air, and a thrilling chance to fall through the ground at any moment. 5 stars would recommend. Finally, the herd slows, reaching a rocky outcrop where the ground feels firm beneath the snow. The matriarch stops, ears wide, listening, feeling for further tremors. The cracking has ceased, replaced by the sound of the wind and the harsh panting of the herd. For now, the immediate danger has passed. But the memory lingers, each mammoth remembering the sound of collapse, the terror of falling snow and ice. You glance back, and though the snow has already begun to cover your tracks, you can still see the churned, broken path where the herd fled. And beyond that, nothing but white, clean, untouched, hiding whatever danger waits beneath. The snow keeps falling, soft as ever, as if nothing happened. As if it wasn't just moments ago that the earth tried to open up beneath you. And that's the cruel trick of it. Snow looks harmless. It falls gently. It blankets the world in softness. But underneath it hides the fractures, the thin places, the hollow spaces waiting for just the right moment to give way. The mammoths huddle close, trunks touching, drawing comfort from one another. You stand among them, heart still racing, knowing that this fear of falling snow isn't superstition. It's survival. It's memory. It's the knowledge passed down through generations that what falls softly from the sky can bring the world crashing down. You stand in the hush that follows the storm's fury, breath steaming in the cold air, the mammoth herd gathered close around you. The snow still falls, though gentler now, as if the sky itself is trying to soothe what it has done. But you know better. The snow is not kind. The snow is a trickster, soft and deadly, beautiful and treacherous. And now it plays its cruelest trick, yet silence. The snow muffles everything. The world is wrapped in a heavy white blanket that swallows sound before it can travel. You call out just to test it, just to hear your own voice, but your words seem to vanish a few feet from your lips. The mammoths shift uneasily. Their deep rumbles, usually so resonant, feel strangely distant, as though the snow is stealing their voices. The herd begins to bunch closer, sensing the danger in this new quiet. Historians still debate whether mammoths relied more on vocalizations or subtle body cues to communicate during storms. What's clear is that in snow like this, their calls meant little, their low trumpets and rumbles lost in the thick air. And with no sound to guide them, the herd had only sight and touch, and in this whiteout, even those failed. You press forward close enough now to feel the heat radiating from the mammoths' bodies, and you're grateful for it, though you know it won't last long. The matriarch swings her trunk, trying to locate the others by scent and touch, but even she seems disoriented. It's a strange thing to witness these massive beasts, so powerful and sure, reduced to fumbling in the snow's deafening quiet. A lighthearted moment to lift the tension. Imagine if snow had an off switch for sound, like some cosmic remote control. Out here, it's as if the universe hit mute just to see what you'd do. Spoiler alert, you'd panic. The mammoths are trying not to. The younger mammoths, confused by the lack of familiar calls, begin to drift apart. Just a few steps, but in this snow, a few steps is all it takes to disappear. The matriarch rumbles louder, a warning, a plea. You reach out, trying to guide a calf back toward the herd, but your hand meets nothing but air. The calf is gone, swallowed by the white, its shape lost in the swirling snow. Panic ripples through the herd. They surge forward, desperate to regroup, to find one another. But the snow keeps stealing their voices, their signals. The sound of their movement, usually enough to guide the scattered members back, vanishes into the soft void. And in this silence, danger lurks. Here's a strange little fact to chew on. As you stumble after the herd, some species of owl can fly so silently Their prey hears nothing until it's too late. Imagine the snow taking inspiration from that, masking not just the landscape, but the sounds that might warn of what's coming. In this quiet, anything could be approaching, and you'd have no idea. Your feet sink deeper into the powder with each step, the cold biting harder now, the wind sneaking through every gap in your clothes. The mammoths move like ghosts ahead of you, shapes more than creatures, their outlines blurred by the falling snow. The matriarch bellows again, but the sound is faint, as if you're hearing it through layers of cotton. And then, just when you think the snow has stolen every sound, the ice beneath your feet gives a low, ominous groan. Not the sharp crack of collapse like before, but a warning all the same. You freeze, straining to hear more, but the snow swallows even that. The silence is terrifying in its completeness. You can't help but think of how this must have felt for the mammoths time after time, storm after storm. To be trapped in a world where your voice doesn't carry, where your calls for help go unheard, where every step could bring you closer to disaster. And yet they pressed on, because what else could they do? The snow might steal their voices, but it couldn't stop them from moving forward. You stumble after the herd, relying on sight alone now, squinting through the white, following the dark shapes ahead. The mammoths stick together as best they can, their bodies forming a barrier against the snow's quiet assault. The matriarch leads them onward, driven by instinct, by memory, by the unspoken knowledge that to stop is to die. A final bit of humor for this section: if this were a horror movie, this would be the point where the snow reveals its true form. Some ancient beast made of ice and silence, grinning as it devours the last sounds of the world. But no, it's just snow. Just endless falling snow. And somehow that's worse. You keep going one step at a time through the snow's hush, hoping the silence doesn't last forever. The storm softens, but the snow doesn't let up. It clings to every surface: your hair, your eyelashes, your skin, until you feel like a walking snowman, only far less jolly. The mammoths trudge ahead, their great forms weighed down not just by the cold, but by the burden of caution. You follow, grateful for their path, but every step feels heavier, like the snow is trying to hold you back. And then you see it, the true weight of winter's treachery. Ahead, a grove of trees leans under the snow's crushing embrace. Their branches sag heavy with wet snow, drooping lower than they should like, tired arms reaching for the ground. You hear a creak, soft at first, then louder, until with a sudden violent crack, a branch snaps free. It falls with a thud that makes the mammoths flinch, dusting the air with fresh powder. The sound echoes, a reminder that the snow isn't done yet. Historians still debate whether mammoths had a sense of how much snow a tree could bear, or if they simply learned through bitter experience that snow-laden groves were danger zones. What's certain is that mammoths feared these collapsing giants, for they'd seen what happened when a branch, or worse, an entire tree, gave way under the weight of winter's roof. The matriarch hesitates, scanning the grove with wary eyes, her trunk raised to test the air. The younger mammoths press close, sensing her caution. You can feel their tension, the way the air seems to hum with it. Another creak, another snap. A second branch crashes down, this one closer, sending up a spray of snow that blinds you for a moment. Light joke, because you probably need one right now. Imagine pitching this as a camping destination. Stay beneath the majestic Ice Age trees. Enjoy the thrill of wondering which branch will flatten you in your sleep. Reservations required, but cancellations are permanent. The mammoths adjust their path, skirting the grove, keeping to the open where no hidden snow load might drop from above. But the danger isn't limited to trees. Up ahead, you spot the dark mouth of a cave, its entrance rimmed with ice, the overhang thick with snow. It looks inviting, a shelter from the wind, but the mammoths steer clear. You understand why. Snow that piles up on rocky ledges, on cave mouths, on any surface that seems solid. Sooner or later, it falls. And when it does, it falls hard. An authoritative fact for your journey. Snow can weigh as much as 20 pounds per cubic foot when wet and dense. Now picture that stacked high over a mammoth's head, waiting for the smallest tremor to bring it down. Even the strongest tusks can't hold up a falling winter roof. You step carefully now, mindful of every overhanging branch, every rocky outcrop, every ledge that looks ready to betray you. The snow has transformed these familiar features into traps. A low-hanging bough groans as you pass beneath it, and you quicken your pace, heart thudding in your chest. The mammoths do the same, their steps faster, more urgent. The forest seems to close in the trees, leaning lower, the snow above pressing down like the weight of a world trying to smother its own secrets. Odd fact to distract you, ancient people sometimes built their shelters inside mammoth bone frames, as I've mentioned, but they also took care to choose spots where snow accumulation was less likely to collapse their hard work. Even back then, folks knew better than to trust winter's architecture. A gust of wind stirs the grove, shaking loose a cloud of snow from the treetops. It falls in a soft cascade, harmless this time, but enough to make the mammoths flinch again. Ears, wide trunks coiling. Their fear is not just for themselves, but for the herd, for the calves, for the aged members who can't move as fast. Every sound, every motion above is a threat. You glance upward, half expecting the snow itself to grin down at you, pleased with its power. But no, it's just snow. Ordinary, cold, silent, and that's the worst part. It doesn't mean to harm, it simply is. And what it is heavy, deadly, unforgiving. The herd clears the grove at last, emerging into an open expanse where the wind sweeps the snow, clean from the ground where no hidden roof waits to fall. You feel your own breath ease the tension in your shoulders, loosening just a little. The mammoths pause, catching their breath, regrouping, the matriarch scanning the horizon for the next safe path. And as the snow keeps falling, soft, persistent, endless, you understand why the mammoths feared it so. Not because snow fell from the sky, but because of what it brought down with it. Branches, trees, caves. The very shelter they needed turned into a trap. A winter roof that gave no warning, no mercy, and no second chances. The open ground feels like a relief, but the mammoths don't let their guard down. Not for a moment. You trail after them, feet dragging through drifts that whisper their cold secrets. And you sense it too, the danger hasn't passed. The snow keeps falling, piling higher, thickening over the slopes that rise on either side of this narrow valley. The mammoths glance up, often ears flicking, trunks curling tight. And then you hear it, a soft, shifting sound like a sigh from the mountain itself. That's when it hits you. The mammoths aren't just wary of falling branches or cave roofs. They dread the avalanche, the great wall of snow that comes without warning, roaring down to erase everything in its path. The valley narrows here, the slope steep and heavy with fresh powder. Every flake that falls now seems to tip the balance, to test the mountain's patience. Historians still debate whether mammoths deliberately avoided avalanche zones, or if they simply followed the paths of least resistance instinct, guiding them where memory could not. But this fear, this inherited dread of the snow's final fury, runs deep. You can see it in the way the matriarch hesitates, in the way the younger mammoths huddle close, their eyes wide, watching the heights. A joke to lighten this snowy tension: avalanches are like nature's clumsiest burglar, showing up uninvited, making a huge mess and then pretending it wasn't their fault. But out here no one's laughing, not the mammoths, not you, and definitely not the mountain. The snow above shifts again. A harmless slough maybe. But the mammoths don't wait to find out. The matriarch gives a low rumble, and the herd begins to move quickly now, but not so fast as to trigger the very thing they fear. Every step is calculated, cautious. You follow, trying to mimic their pace, heart pounding, as you glance up at the slopes. And here's an authoritative fact to shiver your spine: some Ice Age avalanches set off by nothing more than the weight of fresh snow could sweep entire forests down with them. Whole groves of pine and spruce flattened beneath a wave of ice and powder. Mammoth or human, it made no difference, everything in the avalanche's path was lost. The wind picks up and you feel it. An eerie, hollow howl as it funnels through the valley, shaking loose small sheets of powder that drift lazily. They look harmless like feathers from some giant frozen bird. But you know better. The snow is testing its strength, deciding when to fall. The mammoths choose their steps with care, avoiding the drifts that have built up at the base of the slopes, sticking to the center where the ground is firmest. The matriarch swings her tusks low, clearing the path ahead, as if trying to reassure herself that the snow beneath her feet is solid. You keep close, your breath loud in your ears, your every sense tuned to the mountain's mood. Odd fact for this frozen journey: in some ancient human myths, avalanches were said to be the work of mountain spirits angry at trespassers. People weekly would whisper apologies to the peaks, hoping to appease these imagined beings. Out here, you understand the impulse. You find yourself wanting to whisper too. The snow continues to fall soft but steady, adding to the weight already clinging to the slopes. You glance up, half expecting the mountain to let go right then to unleash its burden in a great roar. But the snow stays put for now. The mammoths pick up speed as the valley widens, putting distance between themselves and the avalanche's reach. And just as your heartbeat begins to slow, the mountain offers a reminder. A rumble distant but unmistakable. Somewhere beyond sight, a slope has given way. The sound rolls through the valley like thunder, and the mammoths stiffen their eyes wide, their trunks raised to taste the air. The avalanche hasn't found you this time, but it's out there and it could come again. The matriarch leads the herd onward faster, now seeking higher ground where the snow's grip is weaker, where no hidden wall of powder can sweep them away. You follow, feet slipping in the churned snow lungs, burning with cold. And all the while the snow keeps falling, gentle as a lullaby, deadly as a blade. The mammoths press on, knowing that to stop is to risk being buried beneath the snow's final crushing embrace. The herd climbs, and you climb with them, every step pulling you higher into a world that feels more snow than earth. The wind cuts sharper now, as if the mountain itself had grown tired of your trespass. The mammoths trudge on, but the younger ones are beginning to stumble, their legs sinking deeper into the powder. It's not just the slope anymore, it's the snow's depth, deceptive and suffocating, a trap laid layer upon layer over the ages. The matriarch pauses, her massive body heaving, as she surveys the land ahead. But there's no clear path, just drifts and hollows, the surface unbroken and smooth. Too smooth. You see it too. Now, this isn't solid ground. It's a false floor of snow, soft and deep, a pit waiting to claim whatever dares step wrong. And mammoths, for all their power, aren't made for swimming through powder. Historians still debate whether mammoths could sense these snow pits before stepping into them, whether it was smell, vibration, or just experience that warned them off. But not always. Sometimes even the wisest matriarch would misjudge, and the snow would take one of its own. You see the terror in their eyes as the youngest calf ventures too far and with a horrible slow-motion grace begins to sink. The calf's small trumpeting cry is muffled by the snow's grip, and the herd surges forward, desperate to help. The matriarch reaches the calf first, her trunk curling around its head, tugging gently, then more forcefully. But the snow pulls back greedy, wrapping the calf tighter in its icy embrace. You can only watch helpless as the calf flails its legs, kicking up powder that blinds and chokes. A light-hearted moment, and because you probably need one picture snow as that clingy friend who just doesn't know when to let go. Only instead of smothering you in awkward hugs, it tries to swallow you whole. Not exactly the kind of friend you want on a hike. And here's a fact to freeze your bones. Mammoths could weigh up to 6 tons. And once that kind of mass starts sinking into deep snow, there's no easy way out. The more they struggled, the deeper they'd go, until even their massive strength couldn't save them. Entire herds could be lost this way, caught in soft snow traps after a storm. The matriarch shifts tactics, using her tusks now, scraping away the snow around the calf, trying to give it space to move. The other mammoths join in their trunks, sweeping their feet, stomping cautiously to pack down the loose powder. You can feel the ground tremble. With their efforts, hear the soft hiss of snow as it's flung aside. Odd fact, while you catch your breath, some Ice Age insects lived entirely beneath the snow's surface, thriving in tunnels of air trapped between layers. Imagine that a world within the snow, invisible to the mammoths, even as it threatened to take them down. With a final mighty heave, the matriarch frees the calf, pulling it onto firmer ground. The calf collapses exhausted, its sides heaving as it gulps cold air. The herd gathers around, shielding it from the wind trunks, touching in what can only be described as relief. You let out a breath you didn't realize you'd been holding your own knees weak beneath you. But the lesson is clear. The snow isn't just something that falls from the sky. It's something that waits, that builds, that remembers. And now, as the herd moves on more cautious than ever, you understand why mammoths feared falling snow. Not just because of what it hid or what it brought down, but because of what it became. A trap, a tomb, a cold embrace that could claim even the strongest. The snow keeps falling, of course. It always does. Layering the world in its silent threat, daring you to trust it. You move forward, breath fogging in the bitter air, following the mammoths as they weave along the ridge's edge. The storm has grown meaner again, as if the sky resents your escape from the snow pit. The flakes are no longer gentle, they sting as they strike, carried on the wind like icy shards. And that's when you notice these aren't ordinary snowflakes. They're heavier, sharper, almost like tiny knives falling from above. The mammoths feel it too, flinching with every gust, their trunks curling close to shield their faces. This isn't just snow anymore. It's a strange storm, one the mammoths have learned to dread. The kind where the sky turns against them, not with soft drifts but with rain that freezes as it falls, with ice that cuts instead of comforts. You shield your eyes, but the cold still finds every crack, every weakness. The mammoths plod on, heads lowered against the storm's assault. Historians still debate whether mammoths altered their migratory patterns in response to these freak storms, or if they simply endured, hoping to outlast the sky's fury. Either way, they feared this snow not just for what it hid beneath, but for what it became as it fell. Shards, spears, ice-hard flakes that turned their woolly armor into a liability. Snow that betrayed its name. A light joke to warm your frozen spirit somewhere. A weatherman's Ice Age ancestor probably promised just light flurries today, right before one of these storms hit. Mammoths would have had some choice words for him if they spoke anything but rumbling frustration. The storm thickens the air, filling with ice dust that scours your cheeks raw. The mammoths huddle, the calves pressed between the larger bodies, the matriarch circling to shield the weakest. You crouch behind them, grateful for their bulk, even as the cold seeps deeper, a thief stealing the warmth from your bones. Here's a chilling fact. Ice Age storms could produce a deadly combination of snow and sleet, layering the ground with ice that trapped mammoths where they stood. Their massive feet would break through the crust, but their weight would bog them down in the soft snow beneath, making escape impossible. The storm didn't have to bury them. It only had to pin them in place. And then comes the sound you've learned to dread, the brittle, cracking snap of ice-laden branches, the groan of a tree pushed beyond its limit, the hollow thump of snow crashing down. The storm's ice assault isn't just from above. It triggers new avalanches, new falls, the sky and earth conspiring to bring everything down at once. The mammoths shift again, pressing forward despite the stinging ice, determined to escape the storm's reach. The matriarch leads them toward a rise, a stretch of exposed rock, where the snow can't pile as deep, where the ice finds fewer places to cling. You follow, legs shaking, the wind tearing at your clothes. The ice bites your skin, but the mammoth's pace drives you on. Stopping isn't an option, not here. An odd fact for this freezing moment: in some ancient folklore, people believed ice storms were the work of sky spirits, sharpening their blades. Out here, with the ice cutting your face and hands, it's easy to believe. The storm feels personal, as if it's testing you, daring you to endure. The rise looms ahead, the mammoths clambering up with surprising grace, their huge feet finding purchase on the exposed rock. You scramble after them, gasping, the wind howling around you, but the ice falls thinner, now the rock breaking the storm's grip. The herd gathers at the summit, breathing hard, their sides heaving, the calves huddled in the center where it's warmest. The storm begins to pass, the ice-hard snowflakes giving way to softer powder once more. But the lesson is written in every trembling flank, every wary glance at the sky. Snow can betray in countless ways. What seems gentle can cut. What falls softly can kill. And mammoths, for all their might, could only hope to endure. The storm drifts off at last, leaving the world draped in a blinding, endless white. The sky clears, pale and pitiless, the sun's weak rays glinting off the ice crust that coats everything. You blink against the glare, eyes aching as the light bounces in every direction. The mammoths hesitate, as if the landscape itself has turned alien. And in a way it has. The snow is no longer just cold. It's a mirror, a blinding sea that stretches to the horizon, erasing all sense of shape or distance. You squint, trying to make out the path ahead, but it's hopeless. The snow reflects the light so fiercely that your vision swims with spots, your head throbbing with the effort of seeing. And the mammoths, mighty wise ancient, are no better off. They flinch at the glare, swinging their heads low, trying to shield their eyes behind their tusks. Snow blindness, the cruelest trick of all, where the snow itself robs you of sight. Historians still debate whether mammoths had any natural defense against this affliction. Did their long lashes, their heavy brows offer enough shade? Or did they simply suffer through it as helpless as you feel now? Eyes streaming, world reduced to white haze and shadow. No one knows for certain. But the fear of blinding snow, of losing sight in the very environment they called home, was written into their every step. A joke to break the tension, you'd think mammoths might have invented sunglasses before humans did. Mammoth brand shades, trunks, down style up. But no, they just had to squint and hope. The matriarch stops uncertain. She lifts her head, sniffing the wind, listening for threats she can no longer see. The younger mammoths cluster closer, their usual confidence dulled by the brilliance that blinds them. You find yourself shielding your eyes with a numb hand, blinking furiously, trying to spot anything rock tree predator, but everything is washed in white. An authoritative fact for your frozen journey. Snow blindness is caused by ultraviolet light reflected off snow and ice. Without protection, it can set in after just a few hours, leaving even the hardiest creature vulnerable, confused, and lost. For mammoths, whose survival depended on their ability to spot danger and navigate the shifting landscape, this was more than an inconvenience. It was a death sentence waiting to happen. You stumble forward, boots sliding on the icy crust, heart racing as you try to stay with the herd. The mammoths move cautiously. Now their steps hesitant, their trunks sweeping the ground as if feeling for the path they can no longer see. The matriarch rumbles low, a sound of warning, of frustration. But what can she do? The snow has stolen her vision. It's stolen yours, too. Odd fact to muse on while you squint, some Arctic birds have a special eyelid that filters light like built-in sunglasses, a feature that mammoths sadly lacked. Out here, you can't help but envy those birds. The sun climbs higher, and the glare intensifies. The snow seems to hum with it, vibrating with light, with heat that doesn't warm, with a brilliance that burns instead of soothes. You feel your head spin, your legs unsteady. The mammoths press on their pace, slowing, driven more by instinct now than sight. They follow the faint dips and rises of the land, trusting in memory in the feel of the ground beneath their feet. The matriarch leads them toward a patch of darker ground, a place where rock breaks through the snow, where the glare is less fierce. You stumble after them, breath ragged, eyes raw, grateful for even this small relief. The rock gives the herd a chance to rest, to blink away the haze, to let their vision clear, if only a little. And as you stand among them, blinking at the snow's brilliance, you understand why falling snow filled mammoths with dread. It wasn't just the weight or the traps or the avalanches. It was the way snow reshaped the world, turned it into a blinding, unfamiliar place where even the mightiest were left vulnerable, lost in a sea of white. The glare begins to ease as clouds drift back across the sun, casting long, soft shadows over the land. Your eyes still throb, and the mammoths blink slowly, as if trying to shake off the memory of that blinding sea of white. But just as your vision starts to return, a new unease settles over the herd. The snow falls again, but this time it's not the gentle drift you've come to dread. It's thicker, faster, the kind that hides the world in minutes. You feel it as much as see it, how quickly the falling snow turns the familiar strange, the known dangerous. The mammoths huddle their bodies close, their trunks sweeping in wide arcs to feel what their eyes can no longer trust. The matriarch gives a soft, almost pleading rumble. It's not predators she fears. It's the snow itself, because snow like this is camouflage for whatever might be watching. Wolves, lions, even rival mammoth clans driven desperate by the endless winter. The snow hides them all. Historians still debate whether mammoths recognized human hunters as a unique threat or simply one more predator cloaked by the storm. What's clear is that in blizzards like this, mammoths learn to fear what they couldn't see. Because in these whiteouts, danger could stand just feet away, silent, unseen, waiting for its moment. You shuffle closer to the herd, the cold numbing your face, the snow stinging your skin. Shapes move at the edge of your vision, but whether they're trees, drifts, or something else you can't say. And that's the terror, isn't it? The snow turns enemies into shadows, shadows into nothing at all. You could be surrounded and never know until it was too late. A light joke to keep your spirits from sinking, it's like nature's version of hide and seek, except if you lose your dinner. The mammoths would probably prefer a different game. The matriarch circles the herd, placing herself between the storm and her calves, her tusks lowered ready for whatever might come from the white. You see her glance at the drifts at the places where the snow piles deepest. Because she knows, as you know, that's where a predator would wait, using the snow's cover to mask its scent, its shape, its hunger. An authoritative fact for you: wolves and lions of the Ice Age were masters of this terrain. They learned to use the snow as a tool, crouching in drifts, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. The snow wasn't just a challenge for the mammoths, it was a weapon for their enemies. The storm thickens. The world shrinks. The mammoths move together, a single mass of muscle and wool, and fear. You can hear their breathing, see the steam from their nostrils mingling with the falling snow. And in the silence between gusts, you swear you hear it too, a soft pad of feet, the crackle of ice beneath a stealthy step. Maybe it's your mind playing tricks. Maybe it's not. Odd fact to ponder as you stumble on: some ancient peoples believed snowstorms were battles between unseen giants, and that the snowflakes were the shattered remnants of their weapons. Out here, you'd almost believe it. The snow feels like a battlefield, the air thick with tension, the enemy hidden in plain sight. The mammoths keep moving, their steps slow but steady, their bodies shielding the young, their eyes searching the white for any sign of threat. You move with them, knowing that to fall behind is to disappear, to become part of the snow's secret history. The blizzard roars around you, and in its voice you hear the reason mammoths feared the falling snow. Not just for what it hid beneath, but for what it hid within. The blizzard's fury wanes at last, leaving a world remade. The snow has smoothed the land into a seamless expanse, hiding every hollow, every ridge, every danger beneath a pure, deceiving white. The mammoths hesitate on the edge of what looks like solid ground, but you see it, the subtle dips, the faint shimmer where some ice lurks under the snow's disguise. Frozen rivers, traps hidden beneath a thin crust, waiting for a single heavy step to shatter them. The matriarch raises her trunk, testing the air, listening to the silence that follows the storm. The herd tightens again, their breath steaming, their eyes scanning the land that offers no clues. And you realize this is the most dangerous moment of all. The snow has done its work concealing the frozen rivers that crisscross this valley rivers, now hidden beneath a treacherous blanket of powder and ice. Historians still debate whether mammoths learned to map these hazards in their minds, or if they simply trusted to luck and memory. Either way, the fear was real, carved deep into instinct. Because when a mammoth fell through, there was no escape. The ice closed over it, the snow fell again, and the world forgot. A joke soft as the snow beneath your feet. If mammoths had had warning signs, they'd read "Caution, ice ahead. Proceed with enormous tusks and extreme care." But there are no signs, no markers, just guesswork and hope. The herd inches forward. The matriarch leading with care, sweeping the snow with her trunk. Her tusks trying to feel the land's hidden secrets. You follow each footstep, tentative, heart thudding. The snow creaks beneath you, a sound too soft to comfort. The ice beneath it groans a deeper voice, ancient and unforgiving. Here's a fact that'll chill you further. Ice Age rivers often froze over in winter, but the snow that blanketed them disguised thin spots where the current kept the ice weak. Mammoths, heavy as they were, could break through with a single misstep, vanishing into the black water below. And the snow would fall again, smoothing the surface, erasing the moment, as if it had never happened. The matriarch stops. You see why? Ahead, the snow has settled strangely, the surface too smooth, the powder too soft. A hidden river. She rumbles low, a warning, and the herd shifts course, veering toward higher ground where the ice is less likely to lurk beneath. You breathe out slowly, realizing you've been holding your breath as if that could somehow lighten your weight, spare you the river's trap. Odd fact to ponder. While you pick your way across the snow's treacherous skin, some Ice Age fish could survive beneath the ice all winter, swimming in the dark waters that waited under these hidden rivers. Life thrived down there, even as the snow above threatened death to anything that dared step wrong. The herd moves on, every step deliberate, every sound of ice beneath the snow, a reminder of how thin the world's surface can be. You follow, legs trembling with fatigue, the cold deep in your bones. The snow keeps falling, gentle now, almost kind, but you know its secret. You know why mammoths feared it. Because beneath its soft promise lay rivers that could swallow giants whole, leaving nothing but silence and snow. The herd presses higher, leaving the hidden rivers behind, but the landscape offers little comfort. Before you rises a jagged ridge of ice and rock, a place where snow and wind have carved strange shapes, where crevasses gape like mouths and icicles hang like ancient teeth. The mammoths hesitate at the entrance of a narrow canyon, its walls glittering with ice, its ceiling heavy with drifts packed tight from storms past. This, you realize, is a place of last resort where mammoths sought shelter and sometimes found doom. The matriarch steps forward first, her tusks brushing the canyon's sides, knocking loose small cascades of powder. The snow above shifts slightly, sending down a soft, steady fall, like sugar from a tipped jar. The herd follows, calves tight in the center, the adults flanking them like living walls. You stay close, wary of every creak, every groan from the ice above. The cave of snow promises refuge, but you can feel its tension like a breath held too long. Historians still debate whether mammoths entered ice caves and narrow canyons by choice or desperation. Did they believe these places offered safety from the storm? Or were they driven here by hunger, by fear, by the need to shelter their young? What's certain is that many mammoths died beneath snow-triggered collapses, buried where they sought sanctuary. A light joke to ease the tension: this would be the world's worst hotel review. Lovely view, spacious. Ceiling fell on me. 1 star. The path narrows, the walls close in. Overhead, the snow forms ledges, cornices of white, hanging out over the canyon like frozen waves. The matriarch pauses, listening. You can feel her decision hanging in the air. The snow above shifts again, so soft, so silent, and a small drift drops, puffing up powder that blinds you for a heartbeat. An authoritative fact to chill your bones: snow cornices can weigh tons balanced on the edge of collapse. A single footstep's vibration, a gust of wind, the softest crack of ice, and they fall. And when they fall in a narrow canyon like this, there's no escape. The matriarch rumbles low, urging the herd forward faster, now seeking the canyon's end before the ceiling gives way. You scramble after them, boots slipping, lungs burning, every sound magnified by the canyon's echo. The snow above creaks again, a long, slow groan that seems to mock your hurry. Odd fact to ponder as you run: some Ice Age birds like snow buntings nested safely among ice and rock, their eggs hidden in cracks the snow couldn't reach. Strange how life finds its place even in a world waiting to collapse. The canyon widens at last. The herd bursts into the open, shaking, the snow from their backs' trunks raised high, trumpeting relief. You stumble out beside them, gasping, heart racing. And then behind you, the inevitable happens. The cornice breaks free, a wall of snow and ice, crashing down where the herd had passed moments before, filling the canyon with white death. The noise is deafening. The ground trembles beneath your feet. When the echo fades, all that remains is silence and the clean, smooth face of the drift, as if no path had ever existed. The mammoths stand together, watching the place where they could have been buried, their sides heaving, their eyes wide. And you too feel the weight of it, the snow's final treachery, the cave's false promise of safety. The snow keeps falling soft as ever, hiding the canyon's scar beneath a fresh layer of white. The mammoths move on, leaving behind the canyon's collapsed throat, their steps slower now, heavier with the memory of how close they came. You follow the cold deeper in your bones, the weight of the storm pressing not just on your body but on your mind. The snow falls steadily, thick and tireless, as if the sky has decided to empty itself entirely upon this ancient land. Flake after flake, hour after hour, until the world begins to vanish beneath the weight of it. At first, the herd tries to shake it off. The matriarch leads them to higher ground where the wind scours some of the snow away. But the storm gives no quarter. The snow keeps falling, filling every hollow, smoothing every rise, covering even the tallest rocks until the landscape is one endless drift. The mammoths trudge forward, but their legs sink deeper with every step. The calves struggle, the smaller bulls stumble, and even the great matriarch begins to falter. Historians still debate whether this was how some mammoth herds met their end, not by predator or hunter, but by a storm that refused to stop, by snow that piled so high and so fast that even the strongest giants could no longer move. Out here, it's easy to believe. The snow falls in sheets, relentless, filling the air, hiding the world. The mammoth's trumpeting calls sound small, swallowed by the storm's white roar, a soft joke to break the dread. If there were a customer service line for Ice Age weather, you'd be on hold forever. Your snowstorm is important to us. Please stay buried and we'll be with you shortly. The herd slows. The snow reaches the mammoths' bellies, now the calves nearly swallowed by drifts. The matriarch circles, trying to pack the snow beneath her feet, trying to make a path. But the snow falls faster than she can clear it. You wade after them, the cold up to your chest, each breath harder to draw. The snow clings to you, wraps around you, makes you part of it. Here's a fact to deepen the chill in your bones. In some parts of the Ice Age world, snowstorms could dump feet of snow in a single day, driven by winds that reshaped entire valleys overnight. A single unending storm could trap a herd where they stood, entombing them in place, layer upon layer, until only their tusks marked where they'd fallen. The wind rises again, a howl that seems to mock your struggle. The snow thickens, the flakes larger now, falling faster as if determined to erase the herd from the world. You can't see more than a few steps ahead. The mammoths are shadows in the white, their forms blurring, their calls fading. The storm roars and the snow keeps falling, and falling, and falling. Odd fact for this buried moment: some ancient Arctic foxes could survive by tunneling through drifts, making their homes within the snow's heart. Imagine that, thriving where giants fell, living in the very substance that brought down the mighty. The mammoths sob. There's nowhere left to go. The snow is too deep, the storm too fierce. They stand together, sides pressed close, trunks touching, waiting out the sky's fury. You stand among them, the cold leeching what little strength you have left, the snow wrapping you in its quiet, smothering grip. And still, the snow falls endless, merciless, as if it means to cover the world, to bury everything that ever was beneath a final, perfect white. The storm's fury softens, but the snow keeps falling quieter now, as if the sky is finally weary of its own rage. The mammoths stand still, half buried where they paused, their massive sides rimmed with frost, their breath rising in great slow clouds that fade into the endless white. You can barely see their eyes beneath the masks of ice that have formed over their brows, but you can feel their resolve. The storm may have taken their strength, but not their will. You move among them, snow up to your chest, the drifts pressing at your legs with each step. The air is thick with the hush that follows catastrophe, that eerie, too deep silence when the world seems to hold its breath. The snow covers everything. Now the land, the sky, even memory itself. And in that silence you sense it. This is what the mammoths feared most. Not the storm's violence, not the predators hidden in the drifts, but this endless gentle fall that smothers the world, that buries the past beneath layer upon layer of forgetfulness. Historians still debate how much of mammoth behavior was instinct and how much was memory passed down in subtle signals from one generation to the next. But what's clear is that the fear of falling snow shaped them. It shaped their migrations, their habits, their very souls. Because to a mammoth, snow wasn't just weather, it was a force that could erase them slowly, quietly, without a trace. A soft joke to lift the weight of the moment. If mammoths had invented diaries, they'd all end the same way. Day 72, still snowing. The matriarch stirs at last, shaking the snow from her shoulders in great slow motions. The herd responds, moving as one, breaking free of the drifts that held them fast. Their steps are heavy, but they move forward, driven by the same force that carried them across the ages, the refusal to give up. You follow, stumbling, your body numb, but your spirit lifted by their determination. The snow keeps falling, but the mammoths keep moving. An authoritative fact for your final steps: mammoth remains have been found beneath ancient snow and ice layers, entire herds frozen in time by storms like this one, their bones preserved as a testament to the snow's power. Yet those same remains tell us a story not just of their end, but of their endurance, their struggle, their fight to outlast the endless winter. Odd fact for your journeys. Close in some Arctic traditions, falling snow was believed to be the tears of the spirits mourning the creatures lost beneath the ice. A poetic thought as you watch the flakes settle on the mammoths' backs, soft and unrelenting. And as you trudge onward, as the mammoths press forward into the white, you understand at last why they fear falling snow. Because snow, for all its softness, holds the power to hide, to smother, to forget. And only by moving, by pushing on, could they hope to be remembered. The snow keeps falling, but the story softens here. The mammoths fade into the distance, their forms blurred by the gentle white, their footsteps swallowed by drifts that keep no memory. You stand a moment longer, listening to the silence, watching the snow erase the world in slow motion. And in that quiet, let your mind rest. Let the image fade, let the cold recede, let the weight of the storm drift away with the last flakes of the night. You're safe now. The snow has done its work. Sleep